want to welcome everyone, and we're happy that you're here. On behalf of the Oklahoma Chapter Trail of Tears Association, we'd like to welcome you to this honoring and ceremony of the remarking of Nancy Jane Bushyhead's grave. I'd like to introduce the Oklahoma Chapter officers, because without them these occasions would not be possible. And with that, we have Maribel Chase as our Vice President. Nancy Allen is our Secretary. David Hampton is our Treasurer, along with Barbara Dunlap, Jerry Wood, Joe Allen. Also, we have the past president of our Oklahoma chapter, Ed Henshaw. I'd like to ask Denise to come, if she would. Superintendent of the park here.
Hi, everybody. Really welcome you to Trail of Tears State Park. Really appreciate everybody coming out today. Hope that you've enjoyed your afternoon so far, and we're going to continue on with our dedication here.
Thank you, Denise. And with that, we're honored to have our singer with us, Barbara, and she's going to come and render a number for us at this time. Barbara.
I'm looking for my pitch, but it doesn't connect. I don't think I'll need that. I'll just use it to read the translation, maybe.
All right.
One drop of blood. The translation is not very long, actually. What shall we do for you, Jesus? You belong to us. You are the King. We are more than willing to work over there. You are the owner.
Thank you, Barbara. At this time, we're honored to have our national president, Jack Baker, and councilman at large for the Cherokee Nation. And, you know, every nation always has an ambassador. And I think that the Cherokee Nation has a great ambassador with Jack Baker. Jack?
Thanks, Curtis. Well, it's good to be here this afternoon. I was here for the first marking in 2001 when we marked the grave here. And we need to reflect, more than 176 years ago, more than half the Cherokee Nation on their forced removal traveled right through here along this path. And it was one of the jobs of the state chapters to identify the different routes and campsites that were used during our forced removal. But in Oklahoma, we didn't have a lot of trails because most of them ended at depots right inside the border. But we thought a fitting project for the Oklahoma chapter would be to identify and mark the graves of those people who came on the Trail of Tears, because those are the ones whose stories should be told. So we wanted to recognize those people, and we wanted to bring their families together, which we've done many, many times. Maybe more than 100 family members that didn't even know each other in many cases, to come and recognize their ancestors, one who came on the trail. Because we wanted them to know that the Trail of Tears isn't just a historic event that happened in the Cherokee Nation or to the Cherokee people. We want them to realize this is an event that happened to our families, to our people. So for that reason, we started marking the graves. And we usually refer to it as marking the survivors of the Trail of Tears. But that isn't what the plaque says. The plaque is in honor of one who endured the forced removal of the Cherokees in 1838 and 39. And that's why we're marking the grave of Nancy Bushyhead Hildebrand, who did endure the forced removal, then paid the ultimate price with dying on the trail. And I think she would be astounded that more than 176 years later, that we still remember her, and we've come to pay our respects to her, who died on the forced removal. And it's also our honor to have her great-great-great-grandson here with us today, who is our principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Bill John Baker.
Thank you, Jack. First time I came here is with the bike riders, and I bawled. You know, we had our family stories about the trail and my great-great-great-grandmother being orphaned on the trail, but to come to this spot where the Rotary Club in 1961 put a marker on it that helps perpetuate the idea that there was Cherokee princesses. When David handed me my genealogy and everything, he put on there that erroneously a Cherokee princess, erroneously marked. And I've talked to some of the staff here, and they spend half their time explaining that Cherokees really didn't have royalty, and that that she really wasn't a Cherokee princess, and they kind of messed that plaque up pretty good. But then they still want to go see the princess. So anyway, maybe this marking will help with that some. But you know, this is personal. This is part of what the Trail of Tears Association have done for so many families around the Cherokee Nation, where they've got something that's real that they can tie to, and this is where one of your ancestors was laid to rest. You know, my grandmother was the keeper of the cemeteries, and she would always start the year before buying the vases and everything, and she would have 40 or 50 vases in the back of her car come Decoration Day. So we've got a pretty good idea there close to home where our ancestors are, because she needed somebody to help unload the car. But this is special. This is something that is obviously near and dear to my heart. But, you know, I've known some people all my life, and I said, did you know we're related? Because I go back to Nancy Bushyhead as well. And, and all I told her was, folks, if we just talk a little bit, if you're Cherokee, we don't have to go back very far before we're all family. And we share ancestors. But they asked me to read this. Nancy Bushyhead Hildebrand. Nancy Bushyhead was born about 1812 in the Cherokee Nation East, probably in what is now Bradley County, Tennessee. She was the daughter of Una Dutu, known in English as Bushyhead, and his wife, Nancy Foreman. Both of her parents were half-blood Cherokees. About 1830, she became the second wife of John Walker, a prominent political figure in the Cherokee Nation East. They were the parents of two children, Sarah Walker Lashley and Ebenezer B. Walker. John Walker was ambushed and killed in September of 1834. About 1836, she married Lewis Hildebrand, not Sam. During the forced removal, Lewis and Nancy immigrated in the detachment led by James Brown, where Lewis was assistant conductor. Nancy died in January of 1839, just after crossing the Mississippi River near Cape Girardeau. For many decades, her grave was maintained by local people. In 1962, a memorial plaque was dedicated by the local Rotary Club, and in 2001, the park was designated as a Trail of Tears historic site. I thank the Trail of Tears for doing that. I thank them for marking it then and remarking it now. And I thank each and every one of you for sharing this today. God bless you.
Just a few closing remarks here. The booklet you have is put together by probably the best genealogist in the Cherokee Nation, David Hampton. With that, folks, we'll have our closing song led by Barbara. And on the back is the words.
If you turn your books to the back page, you'll see the words to the first verse. And it's in Cherokee, so I will sing it with you. And then perhaps go back to those who only know it in English, and we'll sing the first verse of Amazing Grace in English. How will that be? So please join me. Oh,